Welcome back to the Every Fashion and Style. In today's class, we are going to learn how to make this beautiful ruffle dress for baby girls. It's a very simple tutorial and it's a beginner friendly class. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you. I'm using this satin as the lining, and then this pattern net as the main fabric. So I have just 5 yards here, and I have cut it up. I'm going to explain what I'm doing. So I'm making this for a 2-year-old. The total length, that all the measurement you need is the round chest of the child and the total length of your dress. For me, the total length of the dress, I want it to be around 20 inches. So the round chest is also 20 inches as well. So I'm working with a half circle flare. So for the radius of the flare, the chest is 20 inches, round chest where it's going to be. So I'm going to divide that by 3.14 for a half circle flare. That's a constant. So 3.14, 20 divided by 3.14 is going to give me around, 5.8 thereabouts. So that's going to be the radius of my flare. So I'll fold this into two first, but before you do that, you need to know the full length that you're going to work with. And for that, I have cut out my net. Okay, so remember I said I want this to be 20 inches in total. It's like an off shoulder cut, so I'm going to be going off by 4 inches. So if I go off by 4 inches, you can see I have about 21 here. So the reason why I have 21 is because I want to gather the upper part to have these ruffles that we see there. Let me show you with this. I have already made one. So these ruffles that you see on the upper part here, I'm going to be creating these ruffles. So I'm going to still trim this down to about 1 inch. So that is why I'm hiding that 1 inch. So all together now, you can see that it's going to amount to, by excluding the 4 inches, I have about 21 inches here. So now this lining, this fabric is the lining, so it's supposed to be shorter than this net. So this is what is going to guide me on the length that I'm going to work with for the lining. So what I'm going to do is to simply measure what I have here. So here I have around 17 inches. So what I'm going to do is to deduct like 1, 2 or 3 from that. So if I'm deducting 3, that will be 14 inches. So this 14 inches is going to be the length of my flare. So now I know the radius to be 5.8. Now I know the length as well. The length is 14. So if I had 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to it, 0.8 should be around here. So I'll just make it 20 inches. So what I'm going to do now is to place my tape like this, measure out the 20 inches. So after measuring the 20 inches, I'm going to put it on fold into 2 first. Then I'm going to fold it in form of a triangle. Like I said, it's a half circle flare. So you just cut the way you cut your half circle. So now after folding like this, from this upper part, I'm going to cut the 20 inches out first so that I can have something smaller to work with. You can see this is a bit big. So I'll mark from the starting point here. I'm going to mark 20 inches all around, and then I'll cut it out. So after cutting it out, I'm going to remove the 5.8 inches, which is my radius. So it's that simple. So now I'm connecting everything together, and so I've cut it out. What I'm doing now is to mark out the radius. The radius is 5.8. So you can make it 6 inches for joining allowance at the back. So I'm marking that as well, and I'll connect together. So this is it for the lining. Please make sure that it is well arranged before you cut. You can also use a full circle. Half is okay for me. The fabric I'm using is not that much. So this is the lining, which is also going to be the base, and this is the main net. So now what I'm going to do is to go ahead and gather this net to the measurement that I have on this base. So here I have about 22 inches. So I'll go ahead now and gather my net. So when you're gathering it, you make sure that you're not gathering at the tip. You mark like 1 inch before you sew, like this, and start gathering, so that 1 inch will form like your excess on this upper part. So I'll go ahead and do this now. Okay, so it is gathered now. You can see it is gathered back to my actual measurement. I measure this now. I will have about 22 inches, which is what I need. Okay, so you can use your gathering foot to do this, or you can also gather it manually. So now the next thing is to sew in. You can see that 1 inch, please let it be consistent. Even if it's not consistent, make sure it's more than what you want, so that even if you have the excess, when you are done, you can easily just fold it over now and then trim everything so that it can be straight. So this is what I have now. So to sew the lining to it, this is what I'm going to do. So I want it to be like this. So if you want this shining part to be the one seen here, so this is how you are going to place it. Okay, so this is what I want to achieve by the time I'm done. So for me to be able to sew it, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to simply flip it over like this and then place this tip here. So if you sew it this way, by the time you flip it, the rough edge here is going to be clean. So now I'm going to flip to the net part. Okay, you place it and then you place your net on it like this, and then I'm going to go ahead and sew. I hope you understand this. I'm going to place it like this and then sew all around, so that by the time I'm done, it's going to be like this, and this part is going to be neat, and this shiny part is going to face my net. So you can see I have gone to sew it. I just placed it just like I explained, and then I sew on the exact same seam line that I already created there. So now this is what it looks like. Now I'm going to flip it. When you flip it, you can see how clean it is on this part, and then your 1 inch design will still be there. Okay, so now this is what it looks like. So the next thing is to create the sleeve that you're going to be putting on it. So for the sleeve, I'm using the same net, and then I have cut it out. Is just 4 inches. It's about 4 inches in length. Okay, so I'm going to gather it on one end. This is the total width, or the length is 5 yards, just like the fabric that we're working with. So what I'm doing is just dividing. I'll divide it into 2 for each of the sleeve, which means each of it will be 2.5 yards by 4 inches. I hope you get that. So now this is me dividing it into 2. So after dividing it into 2, I'm going to run a gather stitch on one end like this. I'm going to gather it, and then I'll create like I'll cut out a fabric to pipe it. So for the piping, because it's a child, I want to put elastic. So I'm just going to cut out a fabric of 1 inch by 10 inches. So the length, that's the one that is going to go over your shoulder, like the strap is going to be 10 inches. Okay, so I'll just put elastic to gather it back to its actual size. That way it's going to be comfortable, it's not going to be too tight. So I have cut it out. What I'm doing is just like creating a channel. So I'll go ahead and gather this to this, and then I'm going to flip it over. So this is what I'm doing. Let me just show you with this that I've already done. So it's like creating this channel, then you can see there is an elastic there to make it adjustable and stretch. That's if it's too tight for the child. The elastic is not compulsory, I just feel it makes it more comfortable. So I'll go ahead and do this now, and then I'll bring it back to show us how to fix it. So you can see now that the sleeve is done. So what I'm going to do is to go ahead and add an elastic to it. So like I said, if you don't want to add elastic to yours, you make sure that you're working with your exact measurement. Okay, then you're going to place it on it. So to place it, I'm going to put the dress on fold so that I can know the center front. Okay, so this is my center front. So the center front area, I'm going to mark 3.5 inches because I want the total space in front to be 7 inches. You can use 6 or 7 inches. I've used 3.5, so I'll mark the 3.5 inches here on both sides. That's going to be my front, and then I'm going to go over to the back as well. I'm going to leave allowance for joining the back, so I'm going to mark 4.5, so 1 inch for the allowance and then 3.5 inches. So I'll mark 4.5 inches from the opening at the back. This is easier because the back is separate, so I just mark 4.5 inches. You can measure this on the child. So after marking all these points, I have 1, 2, 3 and 4. So you can either sew it like this directly. You just place it here and sew, then you place the other one where you have your marking, which in this case is here, and sew as well. So you just sew it and you have it like this, or you can just loosen a little bit here so that you can put it inside. If you don't want this part to be showing, you can see what I did here. You will find a way to suspend it inside so that it's not going to show. So at this point where we have marked, you just flip it like this and then loosen that part a little bit so that you can put it inside. So after doing that, all you just need to do is to close it up at the back. If you want to fix a zipper to it, you fix your zipper. If you're not fixing a zipper, you just sew it. So you sew the lining separately and you sew the main body separately, and the dress is ready. So I'll go ahead now and fix my sleeve. I fixed my zipper as well as the sleeve. You can see how beautiful the dress is looking. I hope you enjoy making this beautiful dress with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.